doing this stream. Oh, we're on opposite sides now. Let's flip that. Whoop, there we go. What's going on, everybody? It's MLB Live Before Lock, Monday, May 29th. I am Josh Engleman. I am joined by Adam Scherer. We are brought to you by SoRare. I thought we were going to have a much bigger slate for today. That doesn't appear to be the case. 6 games for today on the early. I'm not mad about it. I don't love the 1 o'clock to 4 o'clock split, but it works so well on Saturday. I might as well go straight back to it. Hit that like button if you haven't done it already. Subscribe to the channel. Hit the notification bell so you know when everything goes live. Follow us both on Twitter. Adam, what's going on, man?
Yeah, man, how's it going? Congrats on the big weekend.
Thank you. It was a good time. Obviously, I was DMing you every time every single person in my lineup got up. So you knew it was happening the entire time. It was fun. At no point in time did I feel like it was just going to be the runaway that it was.
Yeah, I kept looking at your team and everything around you, and I'm like, you'd have to run really, really bad to get caught. But also, you just never win a tournament by that much. So yeah. The assumption was still something stupid's going to happen, and it's going to end up being close.
I tried telling Laffy earlier, I had a lot of additional plate appearances from Trey Turner and Salvador Perez with guys on and potential hits and outcomes where that number could have been so much bigger. If that Trey Turner ball up the line that I was telling you about gets through with the expected batting average of 550, it's a lot of extra points. Didn't matter. Runaway W on Saturday. Sweat that for 3 hours to the point where I forgot to register for the main slate that night too. Not fun.
I did know that also.
Yeah. Well, I picked my head back up and I was like, oh, I can't even. This shit's locked basically. All I was paying attention to from 4:45 on or whatever time it was just chilling in first place. But it was nice. It was nice to get a dub. We got a lot to talk about for today. 6-game slate. We have most of the lineups at this point, right?
We're missing a few. I think we're missing Colorado, Arizona, Houston, Tampa.
Yeah. You are right. So we still need 4 more. Whether or not we get Houston, Colorado, Arizona by the time this show ends, you never know. I would imagine we would get the Rays. But I say we break down each game. We should have plenty of time to ask some questions and stuff and just hang out. It's a relatively light affair here today, Memorial Day. I guess we probably have a lot of additional people in here. I'm guessing more people have this off in comparison to us.
Yeah, probably. I mean, I think most people are off today.
Michael Pavlik with the big super chat. I could put that up on the screen too, since I'm producing this bad boy. Took down the 30K mini max yesterday. Thanks for all your insight, gentlemen. Good stuff. That's a tough tournament to win, man. That's a big field. I would guess that the mini max is one of the tougher contests that you could play on a given day, just because of the size overall of the contest itself.
All I know is I won it the very last time I was allowed to play it.
That's always fun.
In golf.
I'm surprised they don't have more 150s at lower levels. I don't know why they don't have a 50 cent, a $2, a $4.
Yeah, it's pretty frustrating. I mean, it's something we've talked a lot about before. Obviously there's always a lot of comparison between the DFS industry and poker. To me, one of the most difficult things about DFS is the barrier to entry as far as 150 max goes. Because yes, you can 150 max the quarter, the dollar, whatever. But especially on DraftKings specifically, there's no real gap. Yeah, you have the $5 stuff, but that's just playing against a very pro heavy field. It's a really tough field. I'm surprised that there's not more that DraftKings doesn't do, I guess, more what FanDuel does, where they at least have a $5 to $7 to $9 price point too.
It's a great price point. I mean,
it's
at least give it a shot.
It's such a massive gap going from max entering for $37 to max entering for $2,250.
Yeah, it's not fun. It's a giant step up if you want to try to do that. Or you don't want to get into the $8 or whatever on DraftKings, which is just like a C. It's only pros, basically.
Right, exactly. Yeah, and I mean, and it's not just from a. I mean, obviously, I'm speaking from experience right now, but it's not just a beginner issue. It's it's really hard to actually have the bankroll to max enter a $15 150 max on every slate every single day.
Yeah, after 2 or 3 months, you're just like, oh my God, is it possible to never win?
Right. And I mean, the swings are insane. Like, I don't know if I know I told you, I don't remember if I sent it to you, but like I was actually recently just going through my like month by month results over the last few years.
Yeah.
And like I just gotten used to it and become numb to it. But the number of months where I lost more than like 50 grand basically just playing. I mean, I was playing other stuff too, but
Sure.
the number of the frequency with which that happened, it was just like, holy shit, I didn't even realize that was like really happening. Cause like obviously it's being offset by other months where you're making more than it. But like when you're playing predominantly, a $15 tournament, then you're throwing stuff in, the 3 maxes and stuff like that, but you're not playing any like true high stakes. It's crazy that you can have normal like swings like that.
So I finally had enough guts to update my rotor tracker after Saturday because I knew it wouldn't look as bad as it did. And it's still a painful experience to look at. And then I look at the top 1% and it's at like 1.6 or something. It's like, oh, cool. I want to die.
Yep. I know the feeling.
Yeah, I know. Once it happened, like once I got the email saying like your winnings are in, I was just like, okay, I'm going to pull this up and finally click update for the first time in a while. And one of those numbers was much bigger negative than I was expecting it to be. It was not fun to see. So I'm going to have to just pick up another slate. Maybe we'll pick up this one. You ready to talk about it?
Yeah, but I'll be taking this one. I need it.
No, I'm going to go ahead and keep it. Baltimore Orioles, 4.2 run implied total to going up against the Cleveland Guardians, 3.7. Tyler Wells going for Baltimore. Logan Allen going for Cleveland. 19% ownership coming into Wells at 9K. 18% ownership coming into Allen at 8,100. How are you seeing both of these guys? Because for right now, I'm not really getting to this range, but I'm ready to have that conversation because I don't think that either guy looks bad per se.
Yeah, I don't think either guy looks bad. I think I'm pretty much in line with the field. I haven't finalized lineups yet, but Logan Allen's a solid young pitcher, 8,100. Not the best matchup against the Orioles in general, but there are a couple things working in his favor here. One, the game being in Baltimore, so right-handed power is hurt by the wall in left field. You don't have Adley Rutschman in the lineup. You don't have Henderson. He frequently sits against lefties, but Rutschman being out is obviously a very big deal, a nice benefit for Allen. So all of that works in his favor. It's not the strongest Orioles lineup. It's not like it's bad, but it's not as good as it normally is. On the other side, Tyler Wells has been good this year. The only problems he's really had have been power, and at least as far as righties go, Camden Yards does a lot to mitigate that. He's still going to have to deal with a lot of left-handed bats in this lineup. Ramirez and Naylor in particular, Jimenez is going to look pretty good as well. But outside of just missing his location in the zone often enough to give up home runs, he's been solid. 299 expected WOBA to lefties this year, 213 expected ISO. It's really unusual to see a gap that small. Normally if you're giving up that much expected power, you're going to see a higher expected WOBA as well, but not the case. And similar for righties, 264 expected ISO, but only a 328 expected WOBA, 23.5% K percentage to righties for Wells, 26.5 to lefties. Not the best strikeout matchup against Cleveland, but I think both pitchers just, look okay.
It's interesting. I ran all my stuff before we got started. I'm way lower on Logan Allen for today. I'm a bit lower on Tyler Wells for today. I don't have a single share of Wells. I have one share of Logan Allen. The Guardians are one of my 3 most exposed hitting teams. I am over the field on the Orioles. So I'm leaning more offense than pitching. When you see the essentially 20% ownership going to Wells and Allen, do you think that looks right to you?
Yeah, I think it's pretty much around where it should be. Again, I haven't figured out what lineups I'm playing yet, but in the lineups I built, Wells showed up 22% of the time. Allen showed up 20.
Yeah, I have Wells as a top 2 pitcher 15% of the time, but I have Allen much lower at just 10%. And that surprised me a bit, but I am getting to Baltimore, so I'm not totally shocked. And I am a little bit higher on both stacks. I've got Baltimore and Cleveland ranked higher than we do right now. So when you look at the offensive side of this game, do you prefer either side of this one? I assume it's the Orioles because it's the Orioles.
I think I actually prefer the Cleveland side.
Well, I like hearing that because that is my second most exposed team right now.
Yeah, and the reasoning is just what I was just laying out when we talked about the pitching. Tyler Wells has been extremely home run prone, but you have more left-handed power that can take advantage of that in the Cleveland lineup. And we know left-handed power plays up in Baltimore drastically compared to right-handed power. So having Ramirez, Naylor, Jimenez, Will Brennan has some power hitting eighth. Stephen Kwan's left-handed but has no power to speak of. There's just more guys I can point to there where I'm like, oh, I like their chances of hitting a home run. Whereas with Baltimore, Austin Hayes is going to look good at 3,700. Santander and Mountcastle look fine. McCann's a cheap catching option. Like, I'm not saying there's not good hitters and good plays to get to from Baltimore, but they're just that much less likely to hit home runs because they have to hit it 380 feet over a 20-foot wall or whatever it is.
Yeah, right now I'm in like I don't know, like 8% aggregate ownership for the Orioles. They're showing about 6, so a little bit over the field. It's the Cleveland side that I'm getting to big time. We have them as 10th in top stack. I actually have them as 7th. I also think they're a better value stack, but only 5% ownership. I'm taking a giant stand on Jose Ramirez, 3x the field. He's 11% owned. The idea on a 6-game slate of having 30-something% Jose Ramirez on a day where he's 11 feels really good to me. So I'm liking getting to the Cleveland side, especially at relatively low ownership. We have our stack score higher than their aggregate ownership as well. I think Cleveland's in a really nice spot. And it's not like I'm super worried about Wells.
Yeah, I mean, I think you should be worried about Wells. He's good, but
I don't know about
he does
worried.
give him power.
He's not a guy I'm worried about. I'm not saying that he's like a gas.
It's not like you're.
He's like an average pitcher,
right? Yeah, you're not targeting. He's average, and he has the potential to be better than that. But you're not looking at Tyler Wells isn't somebody that like you're looking and saying like, oh man, I'm really scared about taking bats against him. It's he's good enough that this probably isn't going to go well, but that's the case for most major league starting pitchers.
How do you like to handle situations like this where you've got 20% ownership going to Wells, 20% going to Allen? The Orioles are pulling a little bit of love. The Guardians probably not so much. Like there's not a ton of hitting ownership, but like on these 6-game slates, sort of everybody's a part of everything now. You don't have any qualm. Like you're just going to have everything, right? Like you don't look at these situations and think, I can't get to this side because I already have the other or anything like that.
Yeah, I don't have any. From this game, I think all the sides look fine.
Okay. Rank the game. I don't even. This is tough.
Yeah, this is a tough one.
We're going to have completely different answers based on my exposures, but I don't have. If I didn't look at my exposures, I couldn't put this in order comfortably.
Yeah, I think they're all basically the same. I mean, I guess if you're ranking it in terms of like chances of success, it's probably like Wells, Allen, Orioles, Cleveland, just based on Baltimore being favorites. But I kind of think they're all the same.
Yeah. If I'm ranking it for me personally, it's Cleveland bats, Orioles bats, Allen, Wells, but I can't really lock that down too hard. All I can say, I have Cleveland second most exposed team on the slate, and considering their current ownership, it's the team that is like most lucrative for me. If the Guardians happen to be a team that's important, they don't have enough ownership where it's going to make me like I'm going to be in good shape. So
yeah,
go Guardians.
Yeah, I'm still working on lineups, but kind of just like eyeballing what's showing up at the top for me right now. Doesn't seem like actually no, it seems like I'm getting the Cleveland a good amount also.
That's what I like to hear, sort of. Hey, look, all it takes is a couple lineups. I shipped Saturday with 3 Minnesota Twins stacks, so
yeah, must be nice.
Who needs your best team to do well?
Anybody can win with 150.
Exactly. I only needed 3. I could have had so much more money if I just didn't play those other 147.
That is true.
If only I knew that beforehand.
Build a better Tim.
Tigers and Rangers. 3.7 run implied total for the Tigers. 4.7 for the Rangers. Matt Boyd going for Detroit. Nathan Eovaldi going for Texas. We're going to start on the Eovaldi side. 10,500. He's the most expensive pitcher on today's slate. He's 37% owned. And that honestly, to me, might even be a little light. I have 91% Eovaldi. He came out of my sim 44% of the time as a top 2 pitcher. It's a great strikeout matchup here against Detroit. It is at least tied for the worst implied total. It's not a very good offense. I want all of the Eovaldi today.
Yeah, he looks really good. He came out around 31% of the time as a top 2 pitcher for me. So I think the ownership is pretty much where it should be, but he definitely looks good. He's pitched well this year. He's got a good matchup. We know he can go deep in the games. That's always been something that he's good at least, now that he's, knock on wood, relatively healthy. He's been somebody over the years that does have a pretty long leash and that you can count on to get you innings. But the strikeout stuff is there as well. So far this year, 25% K percentage, only a 4% walk percentage, 3.29 xFIP, 2.47 FIP. He just looks really, really good. He's showing up for me as I would expect him to.
Yeah, he's in absolutely everything for me, basically.
That's not the case for me, but.
And at this point, like, I don't, on a 6-game slate, like, you're just going to end up with, or at least I do sometimes end up with guys in basically everything, and I'm fine with that.
Yeah, I'd be perfectly fine if I was getting more.
Yeah. Other than the Rockies on the road, I think this is feeling pretty good. What do you want to do with Boyd, on the other hand? 6,900. He's 12% owned. Looks like a solid enough value option. And I know you're a Matt Boyd guy.
Yeah, I mean, he's okay. He is showing up somewhat for me just because he is cheap. I don't love the matchup. Rangers, one of the best offenses in baseball. They have plenty of right-handed power, 4.8 implied run total. It's purely a price play, I think, if you're getting there. At 6,900, we have him getting 12% ownership, 15% chance of being a top 2 value, 10% chance of being a top 2 pitcher. He has the lowest top 2 pitcher percentage of any real pitcher today. Carl Kaufman pulling up the bottom, but that dude doesn't count. So yeah, I mean, he's fine if like you need a cheap pitcher, but I think there's spots you probably get to more.
Yeah, I only have 5% of Boyd here. I'm getting to basically everybody else around him, and I'm not really fond of that, but we'll get to those conversation points. Let's talk stacks. Rangers are 3rd in top stack, 4th in ownership. They are 5th in stack score. That would be the next set of bats that we talk about going up here against Boyd. Do you see yourself getting to Texas? This isn't a team that I'm getting a ton of.
I think that like if you get there, it's fine. They do have a lot of upside against Boyd. He does struggle a bit with power. You have a lot of good hitters in this lineup, but the relatively low top value percentage makes me think I'm going to get to other teams a little bit more. The ownership's pretty much correct when you factor in value. We have Texas with an 11.5% chance of being the top stack, 10.5% ownership, but every team ahead of them in top stack percentage has a higher top value percentage as well. So they're going to be a little bit easier to get to. So I'm not upset if I get to Texas bats. They're not showing up as one of my highest owned teams right now.
Yeah, I don't have much here. We're talking 4% in the aggregate, so quite a bit under the field. This is mostly a pitching game for me in terms of Eovaldi. I don't have a single share of the Tigers. I'd imagine that's not all that surprising, considering I just told everybody that I have 91% Eovaldi. Do you anticipate getting to the Tigers? I don't see, like, they're not even a great value for today.
No, I think they're really tough to get to. I don't really anticipate getting there.
I don't even have anything to add or like any individual bats to point out. There's nothing here.
No, I mean, if you go there, it's just trying to leverage against Eovaldi, but he's not even getting that much ownership. But there's no like individual bats that you have anything interesting to talk about. Like clearly the best hitters on the Tigers are going to be the ones that you would want to look to first, Riley Green in particular, Akil Baddoo. But it's more so if you're going to the Tigers, you're just stacking them and hoping that you get a random bad Eovaldi outing.
All right, rank the game, which I think is pretty cut and dry.
Yeah, Eovaldi, Texas, Boyd, Tigers.
Yep. Yeah, to me, there's no other order that you could possibly give here. Go Eovaldi, though, that's for sure. All the people I'm pairing him with, on the other hand, not as fun. Not as fun.
Right.
All right, 440 people in the house right now, just 70 likes. So I think we could run that number up. It's Memorial Day, folks. Be nice around these parts. Hit that thumbs up. It helps us out tremendously. We got a lot of shows left for today. Underdog NBA show coming up at 1:30. And then you get the big one tonight. 2 straight hours. 6:30 p.m. Eastern time. NBA Deeper Dive. Lofty's back with Adam. NBA Live before Lock. You get Greg and Eric taking you all the way up to 8:30 for Game 7 of the Eastern Conference Finals. Celtics and Heat. Going to be a really fun night in terms of just sports in general. If you're watching the Coca-Cola 600, enjoy that as well. That's at like 3:30 or something. I unfortunately am going to be caring about that one. I never unregistered, so go NASCAR. Should have unregistered. Oh well, what are you going to do? I'll watch the race now. I'll watch the end of the race now. That'll be a good time. The only thing better than everything that I just said is the lineup generator being 50% off. You don't see that on the screen right now because I'm producing this show, and to click around and produce live, I'm going to do a bad job of it and probably disconnect myself from this stream. But what I'll say is this: click the link in the description, sign up for the MLB lineup generator, 50% off your first week of the generator, it's going to be $4.48. You're not going to find a better deal. We create thousands and thousands of lineups. We present the ones to you that we think are any good. Click save if you like it. Click discard if you don't. If you don't like the whole product in general, cancel at any time during that first week. Worst case scenario, you're out $4.48. But we make your life a lot easier, and I think we're going to make you a better DFS player by using the tool. Cardinals and Royals. 5.4 run implied total for the Cards, 4.2 for the Royals. Adam Wainwright and Mike Myers going for Kansas City. I believe Myers is the long man for today.
Yeah, I think that's the plan.
So no real ownership coming to Myers at 5,400. 9% ownership coming to Adam Wainwright. I got to ask, how do you feel about Wainwright here? Because I think he's underowned, and he's a guy that I'm getting to, and I'm not happy about it.
He's showing up. Oh, I didn't load pictures in. So I got my exposures loaded into a spreadsheet to help with the show, but I forgot to put pictures in. So Wainwright showing up about 20% of the time for me.
Yeah. So 9% ownership right now. I have 23% of Wainwright. I don't like getting to Wainwright, but it's a decent strikeout matchup here against the Royals. And just in terms of what else exists on this slate, especially at 6,100, I think he's a really nice combination of like potential upside, but most importantly of value.
Like we
I
saw,
think he's underrepresented.
Right. Like, I mentioned Matt Boyd showing up a bit for me at 6,900. Wainwright is only 6,100 against KC, so better matchup for him. Boyd showing up, if I were playing 150 lineups, Boyd showing up about 8%. Wainwright's about 20 for comparison. A better matchup. I think anybody that watches these shows knows that I do respect KC because the top of their order is so prospect heavy. They have a lot of guys that can do damage, but it's still a weaker lineup than Texas. 4.2 implied run total instead of 4.8. So, and a cheaper price tag on Wainwright. So he's just going to be pretty easy to get to.
Yeah. Not the guy that I want to have, but the guy that I will have for today. I don't have Mike Myers. Do you?
I don't think so.
I can't imagine you have a lot if you do.
No, I don't.
Okay. We do have to talk about bats in this game. That's the actual priority. Cardinals are second in stack score, along with second in top stack and second in ownership. They are the team that I have the most exposure to, so I am holding hands with the field, at least for the Cardinals here. Big time implied total. I don't love the park for it, but I like this spot for St. Louis.
Yeah, I mean, it is pretty warm too, which can be a pretty big deal in St. Louis. St. Louis weather is very similar to mid-Atlantic weather. It gets hot, it gets humid, ball carries better. So getting, Busch Stadium in the summer months or warmer months is, going to be more beneficial. I'm not getting to a ton of the Cardinals. I don't think there's anything wrong with them. It is a good spot, 13% chance of being the top stack, 15.5% projected ownership. But Wainwright is actually my highest owned Cardinal at 20%. Goldschmidt at 16. Everybody else in single digits for me.
Oh yeah, I got 25 a Newbar, 21 a Gorman, 22 a Contreras.
I mean, so are you heavy on Arizona?
I'm finding that out. The Arizona Diamondbacks are my number one exposed stack.
You just said the Cardinals were your number one exposed stack.
Oh, I didn't mean to say it like that. The Cardinals are third, but I got three teams that are basically the same.
Fucking
180.
Whoever goes off, you're going to pull the clip. They're my highest owned stack.
183 total aggregate percent to the Diamondbacks, 145 to the Guardians, 143 to the Cardinals. Nobody else is above 7.
So you're getting to both. I thought maybe. Yeah. So for me, I'm getting to the Diamondbacks a lot, but then I'm under the field on the Cards. So I thought maybe you were just doing the opposite. But I'm not getting to the Cards all that much.
It's probably the beers at this point, if I had to guess.
That'll do it.
Yeah. But I'm getting to a ton of St. Louis here. I don't like attacking this park, but for right now, the only guys that I don't have in double digits are Donovan and Edman. Anything else you want to touch on for the Cardinals side of this one?
No, bullpen games aren't the most appealing. Mike Myers also isn't terrible. It's still tough to totally gauge what he is because he has spent most of his career as a relief pitcher, and you're just not going to typically get the same results as a starter. So far this year, very, very limited sample. If you go back to last year, 201 expected ISO to righties, 213 to lefties. Not good, but not total garbage.
What about the Royals side here? Because it's not like we're super nervous about going up against Adam Wainwright. They're 5th in top stack, 3rd in top value. They're 3rd in ownership and stack score. I'm also getting to the Royals. I'm basically neutral here. This is a game for offense for me.
Yeah, I'm pretty neutral on KC as well. They're pulling 10% aggregate ownership. Looking at what I'm getting to, around 12 to 13% on Perez and Witt, about 10% on Pasquantino, less on everybody else, but that's not really surprising. So, probably a little bit under the field, but still getting some of them. Wainwright hasn't been very good in his limited time so far this year since returning. That probably will get better, but 224 expected ISO to lefties, 430 expected WOBA, 217 expected ISO to righties, 367 expected WOBA. If you go back to the start of last year to get a real sample size, it's 152 expected ISO to lefties, 159 to righties. I expect he gets back closer to those numbers, but that doesn't mean it's going to happen today. And again, it is warm in St. Louis. Ball should be carrying a bit better than usual.
Yeah, I'm double digits to top 4 here. I'm surprised I don't have a little bit more Melendez just because of the price. 3,400 works, and there's obviously some power there, but I'm a little lighter on Melendez. But top 4 guys, I'm at least neutral to the field. This is a game where I'm either cheering for offense across the board, or I would like Wainwright to just be dope and the Cardinals be really good. But don't have much else here. Rank the game, which I think is pretty tricky after you pick the Cardinals.
Yeah, I think it's a difficult one as well. In terms of my exposures, it's Wainwright, Cards, Royals, Myers. In terms of like what I think is likely to happen, it's Cardinals, Wainwright, Royals, Myers.
Yeah, I think I'm going to go Cardinals, Wainwright, Royals, Myers as my thing. To me, I think there are only 3 real options. I think you throw Myers in the trash and you can do what you want with Cardinals, Royals, and Wainwright. Anything else here?
Is in my highest ranked lineup.
Let's see if I have the same scenario. No. My, 8 highest ranked lineups are all Eovaldi France. France.
He is in 3 of my top 20.
It's the second highest owned pitcher today. I don't know why you're saying it like that.
Because I was looking at my top teams and he wasn't in them.
Well, you said France like I said Kaufman.
Oh, no.
Your response was very different. When you said it, I was just like, oh, shit, is he like unowned? And then I looked at it, and he's the only other guy in the 30s. I was like,
he's not pitching today.
Wait, is he not pitching today? Because I wouldn't be surprised. I am pretty good at not updating my shit.
Yeah, no, he's pitching. I just meant that normally that's how it goes.
It has happened on 1 or 2 shows. All right, let's go to game 4. Cubs and Rays. 3.9 run implied total for the Cubs, 4.2 for the Rays. Marcus Stroman going for Chicago. Taj Bradley going for Tampa. 23% ownership coming into Stroman at 8,300. 22% ownership coming into Bradley at 9,600. I basically don't have either one of these guys. I have 1 share of Bradley. I've got a couple shares of Stroman. Which pitcher do you want more?
So across 150 lineups, I'd have about 21% Stroman, about 17% Bradley. In 20, I have 25% Stroman, 10% Bradley. So I guess the answer is Stroman, even though I do not feel good about it because this is a brutal matchup.
Yeah, I don't. What do you know about Taj Bradley?
Highly regarded prospect. I think he's like top 20 in baseball. I think he's pitched pretty well this year. He just hasn't been on a lot of main slates because Tampa Bay has the 6:30 p.m. start time a lot during the week. So we haven't gotten a lot of Bradley. I know he was on the main slate when he came up. I think he was like 4K, but I'm not sure if he's been on one since. 22, former 5th round pick. He looks good. Not a great matchup against the Cubs, but 5 total starts now, 24 innings pitched, striking out 33.7% of hitters, 4% walk rate, 3.25 FIP. Projections on him are quite a bit lower. The bat has him with about a 22% K percentage rest of season. ATC is at about 20%. Zips is at 23. So I'm a little surprised that those numbers are as low as they are. But at the same time, 12 starts at AAA last year, he only struck out 21% of hitters. In his 5 starts this year, he struck out 16.7%. I don't know exactly what to read into that because at every other level of the minors, AA and below, he was striking out guys at a really high clip. And so I don't know if it's he got to AAA and the hitters, are just that much better. And he wasn't getting strikeouts, but then like he comes to the majors and he is. I don't know if he's working on things in AAA that, that's one thing you'll see, pretty often in the minors is, teams are like, okay, we know your stuff is good. We know your stuff plays. Work on doing this. And it can change their numbers. And if you don't have that context, they're going to look bad. So I don't know exactly what to make of it. I do think he's likely to be a good strikeout pitcher.
Yeah, I don't really know what to make of him there. I also don't know how deep he's going to go into this game. I basically have him in for 5 innings. I think that's probably what's muting him a little bit because 9,600 is no joke of a price tag here. He's priced for real. He's priced like that strikeout is real. Strikeout rate is real.
Yeah, and I think that's what makes him a little bit more difficult to get to. Like when you compare him to Stroman, you're just getting a $1,600 discount. And obviously Bradley has shown the better strikeout stuff so far this year. Stroman coming in at 21%. But you have a 4.1 implied run total on Tampa, 3.9 on the Cubs, nothing too different there. And then you're just saving $1,600 on Stroman.
Yeah, I'm so like these two guys are basically fades for me. And that scares the shit out of me given the script of this game.
And on FanDuel, so somebody in chat asked if we could talk FanDuel more. In general, it's all going to be the same. The only real difference is that you roster one pitcher. But especially with baseball, if a hitter's in a good spot, the hitter's in a good spot. It's not like basketball or even football where a $600 price difference might be the difference between like a great play and a bad play.
Yeah,
typically the pricing just works out differently. So for the most part, like if it's a good spot for hitters or a good spot for pitchers, it's going to be the same. The only real strategic difference is that you are only rostering one pitcher. So the opportunity cost is obviously higher. And that is a spot where, not to say that Taj Bradley doesn't have a high ceiling on FanDuel, but you're rostering him over a lot of other good pitchers at that point. So in tournaments, I think it's okay. Stroman, I think, is a very difficult sell at 10K, given that he doesn't get as many strikeouts.
Let's talk about the Rays bats. They're 6th in ownership up against Stroman with 23% ownership. They're 6th in top stack. They're 10th in stack score. This is a team that's just over-owned for you in this spot.
I'm not getting to a lot. My highest owned hitter across 150 would be Wander Franco at 8%.
I have 14 of Franco, and I only have 2 guys in double digits, and then basically nobody else.
And I mean, I am getting the Stroman. So again, like if you're, this is where like talking personal exposures can be kind of misleading because like if you're not getting the Stroman, then, or if I wasn't getting the Stroman, I would assume I was getting to more Tampa. Yeah,
I'm not getting to either really. They're pulling just enough ownership that it's become like a little bit of an issue. I mean, we'll see when I rerun. We got about 10-15 minutes before I'm going to grab whatever lineups are out and like really give it a shot. But for right now, I don't really have the Rays. I don't really have all that much of the Cubs on the opposite side either. Now, I don't really think that the Cubs look all that good. And Bradley, I guess, is tumultuous in this spot. Do you want to go to the Chicago Cubs, who are sort of like the inverse of the Rays? They're a value play, but not as good of a top stack play, but they're way less owned.
Yeah, I'm not really getting to the Cubs too much. I'm not getting to them at all in 20 lineups, in 150 max. My highest owned my highest owned Cub hitter would be Ian Happ at 4%. So the offenses in this game aren't really showing up for me. The pitching is, pitching is at least to some extent.
I'm basically punting this game for the most part.
That's one of those where like I get it. You're not going to be able to just like pick a side from every game, but it does kind of scare me here given Bradley's strikeout upside. Like if the Cubs bats don't do well, Bradley, I mean, he is expensive. So I guess that side's not as concerning. The Stroman versus Tampa side to me, I feel like I want part of that pretty frequently. Like Stroman at 8,300, that's a pretty cheap price tag. He's a good pitcher at limiting runs. He's, average at getting strikeouts. He has been better at getting them against righties this year, but you don't have a lot of righties in the Tampa lineup. It's not very difficult for him to give you a solid score at that price. And if he doesn't give you a solid score at 8,300, we know the ceiling Tampa has. So like, it's not one of those like really cheap games like we've had recently where it's just like, oh, there's no ownership coming into a offense that's 3K across the board and there's no ownership going to the 6K pitcher they're facing. It's not to that extreme, but the Tampa versus Stroman spot does sort of strike me as something where like it's pretty likely something useful comes out of that.
Yeah, I guess I'm really just hoping for a game that's like 5-4 or 4-3 or something like that. Just totally innocuous up and down the line. Nobody ends up looking amazing. Nothing's good. Nothing's bad. Just completely irrelevant.
It's a nice like 4-3 game with one home run.
Yeah. Real minimal shit. If there's going to be offense, I hope it looks like the third inning of the Yankees game is just single over and over and over again. I turned that game on yesterday. My dad's a big Yankees fan. I was like, "I'll watch the Yanks for you." I was like, "Just by the way, we're not cheering for the Yankees," and they just keep going through this like single nonsense. I was like, "Dad, this is awful to watch. I'm just letting you know. None of this is helping me."
Yeah,
they'd do something well, and he'd like cheer for it, and I'd be like, "You motherfucker."
yeah, I know what you mean.
Ooh,
as I get like daily play-by-play Orioles updates about how well the Orioles are doing when I don't have them.
Yeah, it does make it trickier. Rank the game. Good luck.
God, this slate is weird.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess based on what I have, Stroman, Bradley, Tampa, Cubs.
Yeah,
I don't feel confident in any of that.
Well, say yours again.
Stroman, Bradley, Tampa, Cubs.
I think mine is Cubs, Tampa, Stroman, Bradley.
So almost the exact opposite.
Yeah. And that's how I feel about this game too. I think the average of you and me is that everybody is like the same exact rank and you don't really know what side to go to.
Right.
Great details that we're giving you out here. The only thing better than the information that we have provided to you over the past 15 minutes, simple. It's SoRare being the sponsor of this show. You guys should sign up for SoRare. Link in the description. You see the banner at the top of the screen. This is like the pseudo future of fantasy sports, folks, because we're approaching this one completely differently. One, and I don't want you to plug your ears, this is on the blockchain. So this is an NFT-based MLB game, but SoRare as a company has existed for a couple years as a soccer product. They now have MLB and NBA. And the difference here is that when you want to play a player, let's just say it's Marcus Stroman, for instance. Maybe you're a big Marcus Stroman guy. You can buy Marcus Stroman cards and you can have them forever, for the rest of his career. The more you use him, the more experience that card will accrue. He'll be worth extra points each week because you're putting these guys into a contest. You're trying to accrue fantasy points. You're trying to win more cards, more ability to make better lineups, get in better contests, win some ETH, those sorts of things. This is sort of the future because now you can roster whoever you want on a given basis. And you're not necessarily worried about salary cap. You're worried about your ability to purchase these individual cards or trade for them. You can make trades with other people if you want to. This is the new stuff. This is the way that we're going to be going in the future, where you can control exactly what you're playing on a week-to-week basis. I love it. This is something that I am very, very interested in the future for, whether it is the soccer side, the baseball side, as we're talking about, the NBA side, which I think I'm going to take a giant bite out of come October. Get yourself into SoRare now, because you're going to want this experience in a year from now, 2 years from now, etc. It's going to look a lot different for you guys. So sign up for SoRare now while you can. Link in the description. All right. Game 5, Astros and Twins. 4.1 run implied total for the Stros, 3.9 for the Twins. JP France and Sonny Gray. I assume you've got Sonny Gray in 100% of lineups today?
Actually not showing up a lot for me, which is unusual, but tough matchup for him. Really good pitcher, but only showing up around 7% in 150 max. Don't love the price tag here going up against a good Houston lineup.
Yeah, 18% owned right now. I mean, based on our top pitcher tool, appropriately owned, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, the thing, there's the pitching today is pretty difficult. But yeah, 10% ownership, 10% chance of, 10% ownership on FanDuel, 10% chance of being the top pitcher, 18% ownership on DraftKings, 25% top two, 10% top two value. So, I think the ownership at 18% is fine. Like I said, I'm getting a little bit less than that.
30% owned France at 7K on the opposite side. Great strikeout matchup here against Minnesota. Second most owned pitcher. How do you feel about France? Because I think I've already told people how I feel.
Yeah, right around the field for me, 33% in 150 max. Good strikeout matchup. Solid strikeout pitcher. He's only 7K, so one of the cheaper pitching options on the slate. Don't know exactly what to make of him. I've said it before, he's put up good strikeout numbers in the minors, but it also kind of just took him longer to get to the majors than you would expect from somebody putting up those strikeout numbers. So I don't really know how real they are or how much you should read into them. So far this year, 20% strikeout percentage in the majors. Hasn't been great, but again, that price tag is cheap.
Well, let's talk bats here. And let's start with the Twins side, since they are the number one value stack today. They are 8% owned. They're owned more than the Houston Astros. How much Royce Lewis do you want for today?
A lot. In 150 max, he's showing up like 35% of the time. One of my highest exposed hitters, and I have no issue with that. He's batting fifth. He's 2K. It's just another complete mispricing. Former number one overall draft pick, dealt with a torn ACL, tore it up at AAA in his rehab starts, 394 ISO. Obviously you're not expecting anything close to that level in the majors, but this is not a $2,000 shortstop.
No, it is not. Looking good, pulling some ownership too. Great value option. Do you think he becomes like a cash shortstop for today?
I haven't built a cash lineup. I would assume he's the cash shortstop.
Yeah. It's just a freebie spot, basically, when you can get somebody like that at 2K.
Also, and I didn't do this, it's a 6-game slate. I didn't play any hitters against my pitchers. I think you could reasonably make the case that you can play France and Lewis together, but I didn't.
Yeah, I agree. I think on a day like today, one hitter against your pitcher is mostly irrelevant.
Yeah, I mean, in general, I don't want to do it just because there's
no comparable.
Right. There's comparable hitters that you can pick that just aren't facing your pitcher, but there's not a comparable shortstop to Royce Lewis, and JP France is one of the most popular pitching options on the slate. So clearly he's useful. He's necessary.
Yeah.
I don't mind the idea of just saying okay, I can play the 2K guy against him.
All we need is the Arizona Diamondbacks lineup at this point. So lucky for us, it's the one that's super most important.
Right.
Which sucks. Trying to hold off as long as I possibly can. Let's talk Astros bats then on the opposite side. 8th in top stack, 12th in top value. Just nobody going to Houston, even though they're probably the best lineup on the slate. I mean, you can say Rays or Cardinals. You can go sort of either direction, but there's a lot here. They're just uninteresting.
Yeah, I mean, I think they're pretty tough to get to just given the difficult matchup with Gray. They're relatively expensive. In 150 max, I'd be getting double-digit exposure to Yordan Alvarez, and that's it. I have 9 to 10% of Altuve, Tucker, but not a particularly appealing team to get to, given the difficult matchup with Gray.
They're my lowest owned team that isn't the Tigers, because I think the Tigers are in a different level, especially if I'm saying that I have 92% Eovaldi.
Yeah, they are.
So I basically just don't have Houston. This is a big JP France game for me, which is sounds like a fun sweat.
Yeah, I mean, I have more Houston than Colorado, more Houston than Detroit, more Houston than the Cubs. But basically same page.
Mitchell Welsh says Darvish got smacked yesterday. Darvish got BABIP'd yesterday. Just hit after hit after hit after hit after hit. I hate watching baseball like that when it matters. Nothing worse than seeing somebody get a single, and the only thing that I think in my head is oh, well, that was random.
Right.
That's that was a big problem for me when Sabermetrics was just first kicking off, and I was like, wait, so if it doesn't leave the park and if it's in play, it's just sort of well, we'll see. Might be a hit, might not be a hit. You can't control it. I'm like, what? That seems ridiculous.
I mean, the hitting it hard you can control.
Sure. But as a pitcher, just having no control over what happens and where that ball goes it was always obviously so weird to me at first. Rank this game.
France, Twins, Astros. France, Twins, Gray, Astros.
Yeah. It's really weird to think that the Astros are last.
Yeah.
And I don't think you're wrong at all. Final game, game 6. Diamondbacks, 5.6 run implied total. Rockies, 4.1. Ryan Nelson going for Arizona. Carl Kaufman going for Colorado. Kaufman, 4,800, unowned. Nelson, 6,700, 10% owned. Stop me from having as much Ryan Nelson?
I mean, I don't have any.
Don't you? Where is your pitching? Oh, well, yeah, you're getting Bradley, and you're getting the guys that are good. I should try that today.
Yeah, 5% Ryan Nelson for me in 150 max, none in 20.
36.
At least right now. I mean, it is a good matchup. And like I said, I'm not getting to the Rockies, so it's not like I think it's a bad spot or anything. 16% strikeout percentage, 4.5 FIP. Pulling 9% ownership. So, I mean, I get it as a pivot in tournaments. I think it's fine. Similar ownership to Adam Wainwright, a little bit less than Matt Boyd. I don't mind it. I'm just getting to other good pitching.
Can't say I blame you. Jordan Klein in chat, true dick move by showing up to a show that he could have just as easily produced for me. Thanks, Jordan. Really appreciate it. Yeah, I got too much Nelson right now. 36%. I think it's just a function of like making everything else work, because it's not like he projects well. 19% K rate, 4.6 FIP in Steamer. There's not a lot to write home about here, but it does help that the Colorado Rockies away from Coors are dog shit. So I'm hoping that they can just continue to be dog shit, because they're dog shit in Coors, but now they're like dog shit wrapped in cat shit.
Right. I'll say, like, I've been playing them in Coors all year, and that hasn't gone well. So I don't even know how much the park matters for them at this point.
Yeah.
Like,
let's talk bats. This is the spot to go. Number one team in top stack in our tool, number one in mine. They're number one in ownership. They're number one in stack score. They're obviously in a fantastic spot. The run total looks great. The matchup looks great. They're good enough. You getting to Arizona?
Yeah, they're my highest owned team. It's not particularly close. Corbin Carroll is up there with Royce Lewis as far as top plays on the slate for me. 5,100. So obviously it's a different play because he's expensive and Lewis is not. But Carroll, one of the top hitting prospects in baseball, he has lived up to it. Guy can hit, guy can run. Great matchup against Kaufman. I've talked about it before. Like, this guy has no business being in the major leagues. I fully expect that when it's all said and done, you look back and good Carl Kaufman starts were of the like 4-inning, 4 earned run varieties, and then the rest are like, the 6, 7, 8 earned runs. Like, this guy is not good whatsoever.
No, it's really, to me, really, really, really difficult to get away from the Arizona Diamondbacks here. I have no idea what I have any longer because I just refreshed my sheet. Let's see. That's no less than 11% of anybody. Upwards of 20 plus, upwards of 30 plus on some of these guys. This is the team that I'm hitching my wagon to. That is also, well, like, I'm hitching my wagon to the Diamondbacks and Cardinals ownership. The Guardians are obviously the team that isn't getting the ownership, but I just really don't see a path to not getting to Arizona. They're just on a completely different level today.
Yeah, for me in 150 max, Carroll 39% would be my highest owned hitter on any team. Again, if you are willing, if I had set it for Lewis to be allowed against France, I would probably have more Lewis. But Carroll, Marte's coming in at 30%. McCarthy's at 30%. Moreno and Smith are north of 20. Gurriel, Rojas, Walker, all double digits. The only guy in the projected lineup that I'm not getting double digits is Perdomo, and I'm still getting like 5%.
It's just such a great spot. What about the opposite side? Can you see any path to getting to the Rockies?
I mean, yes, because Ryan Nelson isn't great, but also the Rockies stink. 7% projected ownership, 9% chance of being the top stack. So they are going a little bit under-owned, but they are also not that cheap, which they should be. It's not that they're super expensive, but 1 through 5, all at least 4K on DraftKings. Then they get a little bit cheaper, but I'm having trouble getting to them.
Yeah, I didn't roll up a ton of Rocky stacks. The most I had of anybody was 4% of Elias Diaz before I ran my last set. So not exactly a giant stack of Rockies. And obviously, if I'm telling you guys that I had 30 whatever percent of Ryan Nelson, can't be finding Colorado too interesting. So I'm not trying to get the Rockies outside of Coors. If today's the day that they go crazy on a road game, it's just never going to be a day where I'm going to make a lot of money. Ranking this game, I think, is pretty cut and dry.
Arizona, Nelson, Rockies, unregistered the slate, Kaufman.
Could you imagine if Carl Kaufman is the highest scoring pitcher today?
Probably just made it happen.
Oh, yeah. Wouldn't even matter, really. Like, it probably wouldn't dictate the slate just because he won't be owned enough. Obviously, you'd like to have it if it happened, but like, there's just not going to be a big enough sample for you to like really be scared about it.
Right. Yeah. Like, he would have to go like absolutely nuts to be, or like the two ways that he ends up like mattering are he either goes absolutely nuts where like he puts up like 40, or just like every expensive hitter on the slate goes off and he puts up like 20.
Yeah. All right. Well, I guess I could run my sim now. We got lineups generated. Arizona, can't trust them right now. Why are there so many lineups? Is that real? Why do I have 5,900 lineups? I didn't even generate that many. Apparently I did. 5,900. That'll work. All right, let's run it. All right, have you run anything yet?
Yeah. I've been reading off my exposures the entire show.
Yeah, but like sometimes you're not really doing that.
What?
Well, sometimes you're just, play. You're doing the show correctly, but not necessarily firm in your stuff. Like you're ready to enter right now.
Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of just like manipulating top end hitter exposures right now for my 20 max stuff. But yeah,
Gotcha.
like my lineups are done. I didn't rerun anything for the new lineups. I'll just manually edit those.
Well, chat, if you have any questions, drop them in. I see there's 500 plus people in here right now. Hit that thumbs up if you can. We got, 8 to 10 minutes, something like that left as we break this down. Let's just sum it up. Who are your favorite stacks for today?
Arizona. Let me double check. Arizona. I'm actually getting to a good amount now of Cleveland and Baltimore.
Okay. I like
Minnesota's up there partly because Royce Lewis just pulls them.
So the Cardinals are your pseudo fade today?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay.
Which doesn't feel great, but yeah, them and KC.
Jorge hit us with the super chat. Let's get that up on the screen. Thank you, Jorge. I said, "Grats on the win, Josh." Thank you. Appreciate that. Quick question. In which cases do you guys force in Fantasy Cruncher to have a minimum or maximum of outfield players per team? Never.
DraftKings forces 3. So I assume it's a FanDuel question, and I don't care what position guys
per team. Like, do you care about which outfielders you're getting on a team by team basis?
Thought you
That's the way that I'm reading it, at least.
Yeah, I thought you meant per team as in per lineup.
Oh, maybe. No, it can't be.
Which would only make sense on FanDuel, but still.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I don't care.
Yeah, I don't ever know what positions anybody plays.
Yeah, I mean, ideally, you find stacks that have their best players at non-outfield positions because it's easier to find good outfield one-offs.
Yeah,
but you're not like manually making that happen.
No, same. Favorite pitchers for today?
Evaldi, France, and then I'm just getting like some Allen, Wells, Stroman, Wainwright.
Such a casual response of France after your response to me saying France.
Well, so the reason I reacted like that when you said France was I was just looking at my top 20 and I didn't have a lot of him, but that's because I had Royce Lewis in 70%. And so once I started cutting Royce Lewis back so that he was coming in around the 35-40% mark that I wanted, France is showing up a ton now.
That'll do it. Chat, any other question? Wookie wants to know, where does Hopkins sign?
I drafted a Josh Allen Hopkins best ball team yesterday, so hopefully Buffalo. Except really I have a ton of Diggs Allen, so I guess hopefully not Buffalo. I guess I'm hoping KC because I do have a lot of Hopkins and I don't have a lot of any of the KC receivers, so I'd like him to just go there and screw it up.
Okay. I'm the wrong person to ask. I don't even know who's available.
Every team in the NFL.
Yeah, but not really.
Yeah.
At least I would imagine. Jets would be fun.
Yeah. Washington would be fun.
Well, yeah. Washington would be really fun. Anything they can do now. Although I don't need him to become the new Albert Hainsworth.
True.
Have we ever signed a good free agent?
Pierre Garçon.
Jesus. How did we acquire Santana Moss?
Trade.
Yeah. Same for we shipped Champ Bailey out for Portis, right?
Yep.
Yeah. I miss Portis. Sheriff Gonna Get You needs to come back and he missed out on like social media and stuff.
Oh yeah. Yeah, he'd have been fun.
Because he was out of his mind for a bit. I need to go back and watch that interview.
That is the worst. Chiefs only sign Hopkins if Hopkins is okay with being number 3 option. Who the hell is ahead of Hopkins in that receiving room? Or who do you think is ahead of him? Because they're not.
Oh, yeah. Well, Tony would be one, right?
Kelsey will be 1, Hopkins will be 2, or Hopkins will be 1, Kelsey will be 2. There's no wide receiver on that team taking targets away from DeAndre Hopkins.
Pretty sure Hopkins is going to be really cool with $20 million and a Super Bowl ring too.
That too.
What are we doing here? Of course he's going to be cool with that. I bet catching passes from Pat Mahomes for a season is fun as shit.
Probably.
That probably is the cure for. Oh wait, I'm the third guy now.
I mean,
not what he's saying.
It's just insane to think he's the third guy.
Yeah, it couldn't be less true. And I say that as someone that doesn't know dick about football. But yeah, if that dude shows up, one, Mahomes is like licking his chops. That's like he would give anything to be able to bring in Hopkins for this scenario right now.
And especially that team, like they have a bunch of talented young receivers, but
yeah, he's gonna print catches.
Oh, third option, including the running back. Okay.
Wait, what? That's worse.
Well, he said total touches, so like handoffs.
Oh. Yeah, I think he's gonna be okay with it. It's crazy how much winning will make people happy. You don't hear a lot of bitching from teams that are just like cooking.
And I mean, also from his standpoint, like he's played for the Texans and then the Cardinals in his career. Imagine how much fun he will have being on like a competent organization.
Right. Like as long as Mahomes doesn't get injured, like the Chiefs are no doubt, like they can't miss the playoffs if Mahomes plays all of the games. Like they just win by default here. I think he's going to be really happy to have that experience. I mean, they're not like you can't cover him the same way that you normally cover him when he can be quadruple covered on the Texans 4 years ago. Winning cures all. All right, I have my final lineups in right now. Giants 40 5-man Cardinal stacks, 37 of the Diamondbacks, 35 of the Guardians. So those three teams dictate my day. Stragglers for the rest of the 38%. Or 38 lineups. Eovaldi in 92, Nelson 35, France 31, Wainwright 29. Very minimal amounts of everybody else.
I just got mine finalized after cutting back some of the hitters that were showing up the most. But yeah, looks like Ramirez, Carroll, Lewis, and actually Cedric Mullins, my 4 highest owned hitters, all at about 35%. Arizona stacks, Cleveland stacks, Orioles stacks. Then it looks like Texas. Yeah.
Who'd you say is your highest exposed hitters?
Ramirez, Lewis, Carroll, and Mullins.
Cool. Carroll's second for me. Ramirez is third.
Yeah, before I trimmed anything back, it was Carroll 1 and Lewis 2. I
basically don't have Lewis, but I'm not surprised by that.
Yeah. Pitching, it's Eovaldi, France, Wainwright, Stroman, Wells, Allen, Boyd, Bradley.
Okay. Fun stuff, man. Any big plans for the rest of the day?
I am working.
Oh yeah, you got the deeper dive shit. Sorry, I'm off when I click end broadcast on this show. So
yeah.
There's that. Enjoy it. I'll pop into deeper dive chat later today. Roast some people if I can. Anything else we should touch on before we go watch some baseball?
I'll have MLB night slate article out in a little bit. I'll have Bet Pro video out in a little bit. And then, I'll be back at, I guess, 6:30 with Lofty for the deeper dive.
There it is, everybody. Guys, thanks for being here. Enjoy your holiday. Thank you to SoRare for being the sponsor. Make sure you're signing up for the lineup generator, link in the description. Enjoy the rest of your day. Lots of sports, whether it's baseball, the Coca-Cola 600, or all the way up until Game 7 tonight, where we have 2 hours of NBA coverage. It's going to be a fun one. Best of luck to everybody. We're back again tomorrow. Like nothing changed, but enjoy the rest of your Memorial Day. We're out of here. Peace. I didn't say peace fast enough. Let's do end card bang.